Hey, this is Phil Campbell. I used to be in a band called Motörhead, and now I'm in a band called Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons, and you're listening to Appetite for Distortion.
You know where you are!
This is Appetite for Distortion.
Welcome to the podcast, Appetite for Distortion, episode number 424. My name is Brando. Welcome back to the podcast, Mr. Phil Campbell. How are you, sir?
Hello, sir. I'm very, very good. You're down in Wales, enjoying a little bit of time off at the moment, so it's all good my end.
Oh, beautiful. I don't know if I get any time off. I'm currently across the pond the other way in Queens, New York. If you hear a baby crying in the background, I'm sorry. My soon-to-be 6-month-old is just waking up, so I apologize in advance. You know what?
Okay.
It's funny because we were just speaking a little bit off the air, and I re-listened to, before we get into Another Perfect Day and everything else with you, but last time you were on, I was still due. I have yet to buy him a Motörhead onesie, so I apologize. I said I was going to get him one. I have him. He has Guns N' Roses onesies. He has a Freddy Krueger onesie for Halloween. I just got to get him a Motörhead one.
We have a good selection out now for babies. I've got a 6-month-old grandson who was down here yesterday, and so I managed to get a bunch of Motörhead stuff as well for the young ones. Yeah, so
that's perfect.
They look really, really cool. Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect, and I appreciate, because now we're connecting on Zoom audio, and last time I was just I pride myself on being professional and technically proficient, and I just couldn't dial out to the UK. I thought I was going to interview Mickey D at first, because that's who I was told. And then it was just like an impromptu interview with Phil Campbell. So I was unprepared. A little bit more prepared this time. So, but speaking...
That was funny. I remember that when you said, hello, Mickey.
Yeah, no, and I didn't expect you to remember, but I appreciate that. So I'm glad we get to do this part two. But speaking of, I used the word perfect. You're here to help promote Another Perfect Day, the 40th anniversary of the 6th record in Motörhead's arsenal. So it's going to be coming out in new deluxe editions. There's going to be hardback book packs in CD and triple LP formats, a remaster of the original album, an unreleased demo, bonus tracks, and also an previously unreleased full-length concert at Hull City Hall in the UK that took place in June 1983. And I'm sorry, Phil, I was born in 1983, so I could not have attended that one.
I was supporting Motörhead on that tour for the last gig in 1983, believe it or not. So we can talk about that later, yeah, if you want.
Perfect. That's going to segue into everything then. And just to wrap up what else you can get, you're going to get the story of the album and many unseen photos, and also there's like an unlimited blue and black swirl of the original standalone album. So let me ask, because you were not technically on the album, what memories do you have of Another Perfect Day? Because it was kind of an interesting time in Motörhead's career where they got a new guitar player, they changed their lineup. So what memories do you have of Another Perfect Day?
Well, actually, my previous band, Persian Risk, supported Motörhead on the last UK show of the Another Perfect Day tour down in Cornwall, and I was a little bit disappointed because there was basically they played just the entire album. I don't think they even played Ace of Spades or anything like that, or Bomber, Overkill. I think from what Lem told me later, I think Brian Robertson didn't want to play any of the old stuff, you know, and so it was a bit disappointing actually, because I didn't recognize any of the songs. You know, it was just all brand new stuff, and I think that's one of the reasons why Robbo didn't last that long with the band. I think Lem told me he kind of, Brian kind of thought of it as Brian Robertson, guest artist with Motörhead, instead of being like, in one of the band brothers, like, I don't know. But they sounded good. Yeah, the crowd loved them and all that, but there was a lack of old materials, and everyone wanted to hear Ace of Spades then. It only a year or two previously been a massive hit.
That's really interesting, because people say the same thing still today if an artist is promoting a new record, and of course they want to play some stuff, but to promote it. But if they play the majority, fans want the hits. So there you were, part of the show, and you were even like, I want the hits. I love Motörhead, but I want the hits. So that's kind of interesting. Even back then, it's kind of the same premise of, play what we know, no new stuff. But now it's not new.
Yeah, at least I know if you do it that way, though, nobody walks out because they're all waiting for Ace of Spades. So at least nobody walks out halfway through anyway, because if they think you're going to play it, like, but. Unfortunately, on this occasion, they didn't. And from what I can gather, all the way through that tour, I don't think there was many of the older songs played at all, really. It was just basically the brand new songs.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't... Yeah, Lem wasn't too happy with it, and Filthy wasn't too happy with I found out later on, but that's what happened on that tour.
Yeah, because they got Robbo from Thin Lizzy, but then they would get you. So can you talk about that transition to? Because that's fascinating for you to have been. You weren't in Motörhead at that time, but you were part of that show. You obviously were a fan at that time. So how did you go from your previous band to end up joining Motörhead, and then, of course, playing all the classic hits and making new stuff with them for so many years?
Yeah, just nothing out of the ordinary, really. I heard that Brian had left. There was nothing to say, okay, we're auditioning guitarists. It was just a thing in the press that Brian had left, which I think Lemmy said it was done purposely. So the people who did manage to get audition tapes through and all, I really had to try hard. They had to phone up the record company and then, phone up, make a bunch of phone calls to find out what address to get it through and everything. So the tapes that they did end up sifting through were tapes by people who had really tried their hardest, to make it happen. So I was one of the lucky ones. They got it down to two or three of us, and then down to two of us, me and Wurzel, and they decided to take me and Wurzel at the same time, which was fantastic, and the stuff dreams are made of.
This is I get some questions from friends. This is from my buddy George Savage out in Rocky Point, Long Island. So since you were a fan and joining the band, what was your impression of Motörhead and Lemmy before joining, and then did that change once you joined?
No, not really. It was over the top. Everything was over the top and loud. And rock and roll, really. It's kind of, the music sort of spoke for itself, It was really, like, the music was really truthful as to the lifestyle. And so I kind of expected it to be like it was, no holds barred, take no prisoners sort of thing. If people don't like it, they can sod off, that sort of thing. But it was great fun. It was one hell of a ride for over 30 years. But, I was very lucky. There's lots of talented guitar players around, and I just got lucky at that time.
Well, you're a very humble guy, and I appreciate you, helping keeping Motörhead's name alive. And Another fan, and I want to get this question in before I forget it. My friend Big John Studd out in Washington, D.C. So since you joined after that sixth record, Another Perfect Day, were there certain songs, other than Ace of Spades, because we love it, that you were excited to play? That, you were like, okay, this is one of my favorite Motörhead songs? Or were there also, on the opposite, something you had maybe reservations about playing, that you were kind of nervous about playing, that like you... I don't know, that you felt was untouchable before?
Well, basically, it was the first couple of tours we went out with, but it was all exciting, because I was there playing with Lemmy and Filthy, and well, not Filthy, not for so much, because he left after 2 days. He left just after we did the Young Ones TV show, so I was out there. Me and Wurzel were out there playing live, jamming with Pete Gill from Saxon, an amazing drummer, and Lem. So it was a blast to do them all, and we kept the power up with the songs. We went through a lot of the old material, like the Hammer. We were playing on Bomber and America and stuff like that, and Stay Clean. So it wasn't disappointing at all, really, It was a lot of fun.
Do you remember anything specific about your audition? I know you were saying that it came down to you and Wirtz, but do you remember anything specifically when maybe what Lemmy said to you? Hey, I like this about you, Phil. Anything that in your audition with Lemmy after all these years that sticks out to you that you remember?
Well, he let me stay on his houseboat the night of the audition, because I didn't have any money to get back to Cardiff. He had to borrow a tenner off this girl he was living with on his houseboat at the time. But he was always really cool. And then I think I went up another time. Then he took me and Wurzel out to the St. Moritz Club in London, and purposely left us alone talking while he was enjoying himself on the gambling machines. And he could overhear me and Wurz say, "No, wouldn't it be great now if we were both in a band and you could play this bit and I could do this bit, I could do this bit and that." And I think that's what was in the back of his mind, sort of thing. If we got on as well, But he was great. He wasn't like the big boss. He wanted it to be a band thing. We split everything 3 ways from day one. And he wanted it to be a working rock and roll band. And that's what it was all the way through.
I love that, and I think that is part of what has made Motörhead such an iconic band, and a band you feel proud to be a fan of, because while the press may just see Lemmy, he has really gone out of his way to make it a whole family band, past members and present members. So I was curious, because when Motörhead was first initially nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it was just the original members. It was Lemmy, Fast Eddie, Phil, Filthy, but then we got Mickey and Ewan. So can you talk about that? What does the Hall of Fame mean to you? Did he make sure that you guys were included, because you're just as important to the Motörhead legacy as anybody else?
I'm not sure what happened there, but we went to visit the Hall of Fame in its inception, and we were so disappointed, me and Lem. We both went, and we had to look around this place as well, and the actual physical Hall of Fame, and it was terrible there. I think it was only the Ramones that we kind of looked up to on the walls and everything, and it don't bother me at all. I've got a Grammy, and that's more than I ever thought I could ever achieve. And I've got lots of other awards as well. So the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, considering some of the people that have been inducted, it doesn't really cut it very big with me. I think it's a bit of bullshit, really.
I think
myself.
you would be hard pressed to find fans that disagree with you. There are just some bands that I don't understand why they're not in. You know, when you think of rock and roll, I just interviewed Paul Rogers, and it's just like, how is Paul Rogers?
Yeah,
Like that, it just doesn't make any sense. But you alluded to
they
something.
should have named it something else if they were going to play. If they were going to do it like this, you know what I mean?
Sure,
Not
music
call
hall.
it the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Then people wouldn't be able to bitch so much, you know.
You're absolutely right. But you said something interesting, and I like to talk about this with people who come on because, and now that I'm, first seeing my son grow up and trying to get him into music early on, what he can actually pay attention to. But when you were growing up, you said you never foresaw winning a Grammy or any of these things. What were your hopes as a young musician? What did you think was going to happen?
I didn't know. I started playing brass instruments in school in the band, the trombone and the trumpet and the tenor horn, and a bit of guitar and some drums. And then I started drumming semi-professionally then in round the clubs when I was 13 on. So I've been getting paid since I was 13.
Wow.
Constantly up to now. Now I'm 62. But I don't know. I just enjoyed playing music, and I wasn't very skilled at anything else really. And I guess I hope that one day I might be able to. Some of my mates were unemployed, and they could go. I remember because I had a job working driving vans from my dad's delivery company at the time. When I was 16 on, and some of the boys in the band I was with then at the time, they could do anything they wanted in the day. I know they were kind of unemployed, but then they could go here or there, but I had to work and everything. And I remember thinking to myself, "Oh, it'd be great if I just could, just do what I wanted to do every day, really." Kind of thing, and it kind of ends up like that. You get a lot of time off in this business. Well, I don't get a lot of time off, but the time off I do get is luxurious to me. It's pretty precious. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't think too far ahead. Really, I was just enjoying myself. Playing with my friends and little bands and trying to write songs which we thought were good then, which listening back now, a lot of them, it was a lot of crap, but at the time, it kept us motivated, sort of thing.
Did you ever try to bring the trombone into Motörhead? Did you ever tell Lemmy, like, say, hey, let's bring the trombone in? So with something else that you had in your arsenal?
No, but I brought my trumpet into the cabaret band when I was drumming. When we used to play Viva España, I started the song off with that, and I'd sit behind the kit. But no, not a trumpet. No.
Okay.
He wouldn't have minded, Lem, if there was a good part for trumpet somewhere. I mean, he loved saxophones and cellos, and that. We all did. There's a time and a place for everything. We use cellos and strings occasionally and things like that, and they're beautiful things.
Oh yeah.
I didn't think I never mentioned it. I never offered to play the trumpet in Motörhead. Put it that way.
Okay, all right.
Probably just as well, because I wasn't very good.
Yeah, Motörhead is not a ska band. I got it. I know I have you here for a few more minutes. Last time we spoke of briefly, because of course the theme is Appetite for Distortion, and how Matt Sorum was in Motörhead for a while. But what I wanted to dive deeper into was that you said you were roommates with Matt?
Yeah, I lived in Matt's house for a year in Los Angeles. Yeah.
How did that? Was it the Odd Couple? How did that come about? Was he clean? Were you dirty?
instead of staying at the usual place, I would the Oakwood apartments. I got fed up with that, and Matt had all the ground floor available.
Oh, okay.
It's quite a big house, so he stayed upstairs with his girlfriend, and I was downstairs. But he's a great guy, Matt. Yeah, I really enjoyed him when he played with us for the 2 weeks. It was a lot of fun.
See, in my imagination, I'm thinking you guys are like Laverne and Shirley. You're getting into hijinks together, but you're on a separate floor. So, all right, that's disappointing. That's too funny. Do you still speak to Matt? Because I know he's always recruiting.
Yeah, we keep in touch now and again. Yeah, and send each other texts. So if you want somebody's phone number, or I want a phone number, or whatever, yeah, we call each other up now and again. Yeah.
Right on. Because I know he's working on his big Kings of Chaos record, so I don't know if you were a part of that, and I know you've jammed with him on different things.
Yeah, he's asked me a few times. Yeah, there's nothing concrete come up about that, but he has mentioned it to me a few times, but he hasn't given me nothing solid to work with at the moment.
Okay, right on. And let me ask you just a generic question, because, again, the theme of the podcast, Appetite for Distortion, of course, play off the words Appetite for Destruction, landmark album in the world of rock and roll. So I'm curious what you thought of Appetite when it first came out, and as a guitar player, was there a certain, like what you thought of Slash when you first heard his sound as well?
I don't know how I came by it, but somebody gave me a cassette of it. I don't think it got really huge straight away, did it?
No, it took about a year.
Yeah, so I did have an early cassette, and I loved it. I thought all the songs were instantly memorable, and the riffs were hard, and the guitar playing was fluid, and I thought it was incredible. Definitely, like, an incredible album, especially for a debut album. I think it deserved everything that it got, and I love Slash's playing. We did some shows with him a month or two ago in Europe, and the guy just gets better and better all the time. Unbelievable.
Very cool. What's the future for you? Do you have anything on the docket you could talk about?
Well, we're just taking a little break now from Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons. We've been busy all year. We've got a UK tour coming up, and a few more festivals before Christmas, and a bunch of shows being booked ready for next year. And the new album's out. Came out on September the 1st, I think. Kings of the Asylum. I don't know if you've heard it yet, but it's our best album to date. It's my son produced it, Todd, and it's massive sound on it, and I'm over the moon with it. This is a brilliant album.
How is it to work with your son? That's great. That's something that I'm not currently holding him.
Well, the three of them are in the band.
Okay, I did not know that. Okay, how is that? I mean, you have a little Partridge Family going on.
Yeah, it's myself. Todd's on guitar, Dane's on the drums, Tyler's on bass, and we've got our friend Joel Peters on vocals. So yeah, we've been playing for like 10 years now, since before we were even playing when Motörhead was still going. Like, I told Lem I'm just doing some cover songs with my kids, and he thought it was a great idea, on a bit of downtime.
Forgive my ignorance.
Check it out, yeah, Kings of the Asylum, a new album. Yeah, it's wonderful.
I will, and forgive my ignorance.
Me on this.
No, I will. I mean, just the fact that you have a band with your sons, I think that's a dream. I think that might be, that could be a highlight of your career.
Yeah. Well, I spend enough time away from them as well, so I thought I'd give something back, and they're all incredible musicians. They keep me on my toes.
Oh, I love that.
I've got to keep practicing to keep up with them. So,
that's special.
Yeah, I think it's fairly unique. I don't know of anyone, of a dad going on with three of his kids in a full-blown rock and roll band, professional rock and roll band at the moment. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe somewhere.
I'm trying to think. I mean, there could be, of course, some family members, but just to have a whole troop, they're led by the dad. I think that's fantastic. I mean, that's again, as a new dad who sometimes I incorporate him into the podcast. I'll hold him, but not today because it's not fun because we're just doing audio. It's not fun just to hear a baby. Sometimes you got to see him because it gets distracting. But if you can get him to burp on cue, that would be pretty funny. Oh, we've gotten close. See, that's what I want to happen. I'm like, if he throws up on me middle of an interview, whatever. It is what it is. But I got him like a little rattle microphone, and so he's. I'm maybe he'll be. I have no talent to be in a band, so maybe I'll do the same thing. I'll have sons on a radio show, just like Brando and the Bastard Sons.
Maybe he can depth for you when you go sick. He can depth for you then in a few years.
Right on, Phil. Thank you so much. Again, we're promoting the deluxe 40th anniversary edition of Another Perfect Day. It's coming out November 3rd. You can have pre-orders and merch, which is available now. Just go to I believe it's imotörhead.com. The letter imotörhead.com. So Phil, thank you so much. I'm just so happy I got a good interview with you this time. No audio issues, no dialing out issues. This was a pleasure, and I hope we get to do this even again.
Pleasure was all mine, and good luck with your boy as well. We'll speak again soon, I'm sure, at some point.
Oh, man, Phil is too cool. And I just said it to him, but I'll say it to you again. I'm so glad to have gotten a solid interview with him because it was back in February. If you want to check it out, the initial interview I did with him, episode 392, and it was fine. He was great again, but I just felt so flushed and rushed because, again, I thought I was talking to Mr. D, the drummer, and all of a sudden I'm talking to Phil, the guitarist, and I couldn't dial out the country code, blah, 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 and then I ended up just holding my cell phone up to the microphone, and that's not what I want to do. I had to do that when COVID hit and I had no equipment at home. So there are my episode with Matt Sorum, and the first one with Susan Holmes McCakin, I believe, was like that, and it's not terrible. There's worse sounding things to listen to, but that, I just feel good, so I needed to express myself. Because I want to feel good, because I think I'm going to start, I think I did it at the beginning of the podcast, this Get in the Ring segments, and I'll work on a soundbite for it, maybe some graphics. I might have to do it as a separate video series, because there are things that piss me off sometimes, and people that piss me off sometimes, and I just think about Get in the Ring, that song. I've been tweeting the lyrics and sharing the lyrics, and you all have been responding so well to it. We all freaking love that song. To hear that live one day would be amazing. So let me just say this, my little Get in the Ring segment, before we wrap up here. As you know, the conversation always continues on the podcast. Love interacting with you, especially on, I don't know why I like it, this platform, but Twitter, X. I think it's because it's just the most simple for right now, anyway. But I swear, if Musk has us pay for this, I'm off. I'm done. So I'm trying to find the tweet now that somebody had a problem. So initially, I put out the tweet because it was just a few days ago, October 22nd. 15 years since Chinese Democracy was confirmed, and the single came out. So October 22nd, 2008, there was a big press release from Best Buy and Geffen, joint press release, that finally Chinese Democracy is coming next month, in basically a month. So it came out November 23rd, 2008. Time flies, huh? So I put that out there. Do you remember? Blah, blah, blah. Of course, just harmless tweet. And I'll give this person a shout out because he's a good commenter. And I had no problem with his comment because it's his opinion. And he wasn't mean or anything. it's pretty crazy. The wait between the spaghetti incidents and Chinese Democracy is the same as between CD, Chinese Democracy, and now, which is, I can't believe it. Like, we've had one album in 30 years, right? This is what he says. Axl is by far the most wasted talent in music history. What is even sadder is listening to those CD instrumentals. You have at least 2 great albums there. Shares his opinion, fine. Because I don't agree with the wasted comment. And that's how I kind of responded. So I put wasted in air quotes, or not air quotes. I'm putting in air quotes now. I actually wrote the quotes on Twitter. Wasted, depending upon how you look at it. Literally just said to my wife, which is true. I literally said to her, the Dave Matthews fan, we got one album in 30 years. I just said that to her, and because she's constantly getting new music, new albums, and it's just kind of like a fun banter we have between us. She said to me, I feel bad for Guns N' Roses fans, just teasing me. And I said, but I think he was working on himself during all that time, fighting depression, and today it looks like he won. I don't know this for sure, but if you see what Axl was on stage and what he is now, he seems to be a very different person. And as I was just talking to Phil about, by side note, Baby Brownstone, he's in the back now, so he he may be my co-host for this final segment. So that's all I said. Now, I can't go back and necessarily... Oh, I know I can, because I blocked him, because he was this guy was an asshole. He goes, sad that... I don't name him, okay? Pete Petty, or I'm going to call him Petty Pete. Sad that you even gave a tweet any time or attention, or also basically co-signing it. I'm co-signing his tweet by not just retweeting it. I didn't just retweet it. I gave my thoughts on it, kind of deflecting and redirecting his thought on the word wasted. And I kept saying basically no cosign. I gave my own thought. No, he said no defense. Guy straight up slandered Axl. And you supported it. And I said, I try to let people voice their own opinions, even if I don't agree with them. Just like this guy, Petty Pete. He goes, by retweeting them, though, mad strange. You have an audience. People like that ain't it, though. What? Again, no retweet with no context. I retweeted it with context and changing that word wasted to bring up a conversation about mental health and depression. And I said that. And he goes, I'm really confused here about who your audience is. People like that, people that actually like the band, or people who talk 30-year-old shit? Seems like an easy answer. Dumb response. Just dumb response. Who is my audience? Whoever's listening to me. Whoever I've been lucky enough to cultivate over these years with my silly sense of humor, my Jewish accent, my New York accent, and talking about Guns N' Roses. There are, from what I've seen, because believe me, I look for negative responses. I'm obsessed with that. I could positive ones. I really do. It's really few and far between people like this who give me a hard time. And I'm very fortunate like that. And I said, like, you're being petty, Pete. Anyone who wants to be a piece of an audience. Oh, petty is advertised. You're the AFD podcast. Less than actually advertised. It's weird because all the GNR groups talk shit about you. And you're a dude from Queens who likes GNR and wrestling. Basically me. So I actually defended you before. But this doesn't get the pass, bro. It was one forum that had an obsession with me. That's some dude made like a whole 15-minute podcast trying to make fun of me, and I actually listened to it. Like, I could smoke some weed and I listened to it, and I was like, it was cringe. Like, I could make fun of me. It's so easy to make fun of me. Like, it is. There's a lot of things you could pick apart. I get things wrong. I speak too fast at times. I get excitable. There's the bad jokes, and this was just like stupid. Oh, I'm Brando. Oh, I was talking for the Thornton. What? It's like, what am I, in 5th grade? I'm going to be offended by just a silly voice. So anyway, this douche continued. He's just like, you boosted slander on Axl. Again, didn't boost. I engaged with a follower to ultimately talk about mental health. If I berated that person, talking about mental health and depression kind of negates the point. And I said people have their own opinions and they can share them here. Even you, Petty Pete. Oh, you don't need to berate people to defend, but you also shouldn't sympathize with slanderous people. He's like, whoa, what? You feel bad for GNR fans. I am a GNR fan. And he goes, wasted depending upon how you look at it, question mark? Yes, he didn't waste it. Because if he's working on his mental health and he's happy now and he didn't kill himself, it's not wasted. Dumb. It's a really bad take or defense from a real GNR fan. Quite the opposite. Quite the opposite. Clown show. Clown show. And I kept saying you are creating a narrative that isn't there. Listen, if you're listening to this podcast, Petty Pete, go back and listen to all the other ones. Because I am a constant supporter of Axl. I do not go down the road of, like, I'm not a sycophant. I'm not somebody who says he sounds like he does in 1987, but I'm not somebody who mocks him. I'm not somebody who says that User Illusion has filler. I'm somebody who says that it should be 2 albums. I support this band. So it's just, you're not paying attention. You are just forcing your opinion on me because you didn't like it. And it's like he didn't even attack the person who initially posted the tweet that he supposedly thinks is so slanderous. So I eventually had to retweet him to show my followers that here's a guy giving me shit about talking about mental health. And I can't reread this one because I deleted it. And he just spoke about that I'm kind of fake with my mental health talk. Bro, my dad killed himself 10 years ago. You think I'm fucking around? You want to antagonize me, motherfucker? Get in the ring, motherfucker. Because I'll kick your bitchy little ass, punk. Quoting Get in the Ring. So that's why I've been obsessed with that song lately. And as soon as he said, you can't pull that trump card every time. Yes, I'm pulling the trump card that my dad fucking killed himself. What a piece of shit to have to even say that. What a scumbag. So, you know what, Petty Pete? If you do listen to the podcast, don't listen anymore. I don't want you listening to the show. This isn't for you. Who's my fan base? Intelligent, thoughtful, sympathetic Guns N' Roses fans. Not selfish assholes who try to push their opinions down other people's throat and are so confident in themselves. Don't tell me what my opinion is. I know what it is. So get in the fucking ring, Petty Pete. Yeah! Whew! Anyway. So should I do more of those? Get in the rings? Go off on somebody? Well, I try to stay positive. I don't want to do it all the time. Anyway, that does it for this episode of Appetite for Distortion. I'll tell you what's coming up. Coming up shortly, I have an interview. We've had Mark LaBelle from Dirty Honey on a few times, but this time we're going to get on John Nato and Justin Smolian from Dirty Honey. They're going to be on the podcast. So did you see Dirty Honey open up for Guns N' Roses again this time around? If you did and you want to submit some questions, do so. Again, social media, how the conversation continues. Facebook, X, Twitter, Instagram. Email me at theafdshow.com. And also please follow and subscribe on YouTube. Constantly working on that page. We have over 1 million views on that. Over 800 videos on that of just full-length interviews, of clips, short little bites of whether 2-minute clips. I've been making those YouTube shorts 60-second clips, putting a lot of effort into those because I do make some chump change off of YouTube. So please support that. If you are also on YouTube, again, hit that subscribe button. So that does it for this episode of Appetite for Distortion. When will you see the next one? In the words of Axl Rose concerning Chinese democracy, I don't know if soon is the word, but you'll see it.